school, and age-grade sports again.
This is the network service of the NTA.
We are not going to take this anymore. Any Nigerian killed must be accounted for.
Account for Nigerian lives lost in South Africa. That's Nigeria's Senate President to South Africa.
The President has provided everything that ought to be given to them, everything in terms of funding.
Meanwhile, Deputy Senate President at Aso Villa speaks of proper funding for security operations at home. And three-story building collapses in Jos. Hello, good evening. I'm Joseph Johnson and this is NTN Network News. Also reading with me tonight from our Lagos Network Center is Michael Olale and Chineye Nwoye is in Enugu. Well, let's get started with cordial relations. In furtherance of the renewed commitment by the executive and the legislature to harmonize relationship in the interest of peace and prosperity of the country, President Muhammadu Buhari has received in audience the Deputy President of the Senate, Ovie Omo Agege. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The Deputy Senate President, Ovie Omo Agege, met President Muhammadu Buhari behind closed doors. Details of their discussions that lasted about 30 minutes were not made public. Senator Omo Agege, however, told journalists that with the unprecedented support by President Muhammadu Buhari to the nation's military and other security services, Nigerians need not to live in fear as well as uncertainty.
Mr. President has provided everything that ought to be given to them. Everything in terms of funding they've received, in terms of acquisition of weaponry that's been provided for them. It's now left for them to justify the positions they hold.
The Deputy Senate President used the opportunity to lend his voice behind the clamor for the deployment of troops to the nation's dark spots, especially on the highways, towards containing the prevailing acts of criminality.
As much as possible, you want to keep the military in their barracks, but because of the exigencies of the moment, we have no choice but to encourage that. Nigerians need to be assured of their safety at all times. That's the essence of governance, as guaranteed by the Constitution. Therefore, if, as canvassed by the Vice President, that we have the Army provide security at the checkpoints, if that will go to prevent this kidnapping and banditry, why not?
Senator Omo Agege, elected into the Senate for the first time in 2015, is representing Delta Central Senatorial District. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, has told the South African government that it must account for all Nigerians killed in its jurisdiction. Senator Lawan was speaking during a meeting with the South African Acting High Commissioner to Nigeria. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
5 days after the Senate resolved that the South African government must carry out an investigation on the circumstances surrounding the death of a Nigerian woman, Elizabeth Chukwu, the South African Acting High Commissioner to Nigeria, Bobby Morrow, has visited the President of the Senate to brief him on steps taken by the South African government. Moro explained that the South African government has instituted an inquest into the incident as the police has retrieved the closed-circuit camera footage which did not reveal any sign of movement in her room.
So at this stage, the cause of her death is not known, as no report has ever been issued yet. The South African police services are working closely with Emperor's Palace Hotel, where she sadly passed on, in order to establish events leading to the death of Ms. Chuku.
President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, although appreciated the effort made by the South African government so far, insisted that the investigation must go beyond Mrs. Elizabeth Chuku to include the 118 Nigerians killed in South Africa between 2016 and 2018, out of which 13 were allegedly killed by the South African police.
We are not going to take this anymore. Any Nigerian killed must be accounted for. We are going to write the names of all Nigerians killed in South Africa, 118, from the time the first killing started to the last.
Senator Lawan reminded the South African delegation of the role Nigeria played during the apartheid period.
As a country, we got involved through our resources, through our emotions, and ANC declared Nigeria a frontline state, even though we have no contiguity.
3 weeks ago, Mrs. Elizabeth Chuku traveled to South Africa for a conference and was found dead in her hotel room. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Unko, NTA News.
And the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, was in Zamfara State, where he committed the National Assembly to adequate budgetary provision for the development of areas affected by banditry and other forms of criminality. Correspondent Haliru Muhammad Umar reports that the Speaker made the commitment during an interaction with key players in security management in the state.
Zamfara State has over the years suffered from banditry, kidnappings and cattle rustling, which resulted in monumental loss of lives and property. This prompted the Speaker of the House of Representatives to visit the state for an interface with stakeholders with a view to finding lasting solution to the lingering crisis.
We're here simply on a mission, a peacekeeping mission. We're here for nothing else other than to restore and thereafter maintain peace in Zamfara.
The Speaker commended the State Governor for the peace initiative adopted by his administration, which according to him is yielding positive result. Zamfara State Governor Bello Muhammad noted that arrangements have been concluded for the establishments of 3 Ruga settlements and other infrastructures as a means of restoring peace and stability in the state.
I would like to use this opportunity to appeal to Mr. Speaker to come to the aid of Zamfara State in liaising with the leadership of the Senate for the immediate release of the special federal government intervention fund of 10 billion.
Leaders of the warring parties who spoke at the event also embraced each other as a mark of reaffirming their resolve to give peace a chance. The Speaker had during the visit handed over some released captives to the chairman, Zamfara State Council of Chiefs for further action. He also donated 2 trailers of assorted rice for onward distribution to IDPs and other victims of banditry attacks in the state. In Gusau, Haliru Muhammad Umar, NTA News.
Still on security matters, the Nigerian Army has approved the postings and redeployment of officers to reinvigorate the force. A statement by Acting Director, Army Public Relations, Colonel Sagir Musa, indicates that the postings include the appointment of the newly promoted Lieutenant General Lamidi Adoshun, the former Chief of Training and Operations, now redeployed as Chief of Policy and Plans of the Army. Others are Major General A.O. Shodunke, from Army Headquarters Department of Army Standards and Evaluation, appointed as Chief of Defense Logistics Defense Headquarters, and 16 other Major Generals, 11 Brigadier Generals, among others. Turning to health matters, the World Health Organization is reaffirming its pledge to work with the federal government through the Northeast Development Commission to fast-track the rebuilding of the region. WHO officer in charge in Nigeria, Clement Peter, said this when he visited Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa. Mitare Ikben has more.
Rebuilding the Northeast region, which was ravaged by insurgency, is both Herculean and capital-intensive. WHO, which has been involved in humanitarian activities in the Northeast, says it is pleased with the political will exhibited by the Buhari administration to rebuild the region through the establishment of the Northeast Development Commission and is willing to be part of government's response in the region.
In the context of health, it means to strengthen the health systems to be able to deliver. We see pockets of new displacements, which we try to address it, but I think working with the government to ensure that the health systems is built.
We believe that with the establishment of the Northeast Development Commission, we have one hope that would coordinate the activities of all the interventions that are coming from different international donor partners in the Northeast.
Meanwhile, Bayelsa State Governor Sirake Dixon, who was among numerous visitors to the office, has described the reappointment of the SDF by President Buhari as a positive development. He appealed to politicians in the country to close ranks and work for national interest.
We need to do more in terms of working, across party lines, supporting and encouraging one another, but also raising the vital issues.
The SDF appealed to state governments to deepen democracy in the country by domesticating the developmental initiatives of the federal government. In Abuja, Mitare Ikben, NTA News.
And Nigerian women on the platform of Wives of Governors Against Cancer are working to reverse increasing cases of death from non-communicable diseases, specifically cancer among women. In this regard, the governors' wives are collaborating with other technical partners on how to mainstream cancer into the primary health care of subnational governments. Kende Olale reports.
As you may all know, I'm a survivor. It's because of that experience that I started an organization known as Breast Cancer Association of Nigeria, BRECAN.
Betty Akeredolu is wife of the Ondo State Governor. Nothing about her gives her health status away. However, she's one of the lucky cancer survivors telling her story. Betty Akeredolu is among wives of state governors across the country, spearheading advocacy for cancer awareness and access to affordable quality treatment. At this meeting with technical partners in healthcare management, the governors' wives under the platform of Wives of Governors Against Cancer share their individual gaps.
Bringing that awareness to people and also to government and policymakers on how they can effectively bring the changes and the policies that are required to overcome these challenges.
If the governor's wives will have at least one representative in all the wards in the state, so that anytime you have women gathered together, the person can go there and do the advocacy, because education is key.
Not many women are as fortunate as Betty Akeredolu. These statistics tell the story. Death from breast cancer tops the table, followed by cervical cancer and so on. Women at their most productive stages, that is, from age 40, are most vulnerable. Sadly, statistics also reveal that most cancer patients in Nigeria present at the terminal stages when cost of treatment and management is very high.
Prioritize more resources for health. There's a need to begin to think creatively and innovatively how to address the rising prevalence of non-communicable diseases, of which cancer is a big part of it.
The expectation of these women is that mortality from cancer can be reduced, and like Betty Akeredolu, more women will tell their stories of survival. Kende Olale, NTA News.
A three-story building located at Butcher Line, Dilimi in Jos North local government area collapsed early this evening. The building, which is home to the owner's family, also houses storage areas and other stores, is said to be only about 2 years old. Eyewitness report indicates that the building has been under renovation since the onset of the rainy season. This is NTA Network News. We just take a short break now. We'll be back shortly.
Hey, now me I go ask and say, why all of us go pay 100,000 naira? Say your husband, he want do 70th birthday. She now all of us marry them together. Hey, when her mama die, she collects money. Her papa die, she collects money. Her mama die, she collects. You remember when she talked, say she wanted her mama dead body. Mama, you too talk. Now you be glad when they dash me credit anyhow. Imagine, 40-year-old dead body. Why they laugh now? Now try to bring your money. Mama, no laugh. Not be you, Jerry. Now some apropos customer there when they know they mind their own business. Whoa, I never even begin to give you her gist.
Glow and Maple. Get 5 times your recharge to call all networks. Recharge with *555*PIN#.
Make her sell my market finish first, eh? I will call you back. Oh.
Glow Unlimited.
Enjoy the best of African football as NTA, Africa's largest television network and hotspots, Nigeria's foremost sports production and marketing company, bring you all 52 matches of the Africa Cup of Nations, Egypt 2019 live from June 21 to July 19, 2019. Yes, all 52 games will hit your screens in crystal clear digital quality. It's your guarantee of a memorable viewing experience and a wonderful cost-effective opportunity for corporate Nigeria to reach tens of millions of Nigerians. For sponsorship and commercial support, contact Abubakar on 0803-331-0175 and Felix on 0803-308-2375. Hot Sports, masters of the game. NTA, you can't beat the reach.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, invites all secretaries to state governments, permanent secretaries, heads of cabinet affairs offices in the South-South geopolitical zone consisting of Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Rivers, Bayelsa, Edo, and Delta states to the third in the series of the regional meeting for secretaries to the state governments and heads, permanent secretaries of cabinet affairs offices, which is a follow-up meeting on the outcome of the maiden meeting held in the second quarter of 2019 in Abuja for secretaries to the state governments, permanent secretaries, heads of cabinet affairs offices. The meeting is designed to, among other things, develop a synergy between the cabinet affairs offices at the federal and state levels in order to develop a framework for a community of practice. The follow-up meeting is scheduled to hold as follows. Date, Tuesday, July 16, 2019. Time, 10 a.m. Venue, Best Western Elomas Hotel, Delta Broadcasting Service, DBS Road, Asaba, Delta State. Announcer, Babatunde Lawal, Permanent Secretary, Cabinet Affairs Office, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
This used to be me. But that was before I got the perfect bag. It's handy and easy to use. All I need in one compact space, just like my MTN Extra Value plan. I used to get one plan for my calls and then try to remember which data plan worked for me. Roaming was a totally different ballgame. Not anymore. I've got the MTN Extra Value all-in-one plan. If you're a data buff like me, you get extra data with some talk time. And if you like to make calls, you get extra talk time with some data. And when I'm abroad, I automatically browse, chat, and call right on the same plan. MTN Extra Value was made just for me.
More of data or calls, whichever one you prefer. MTN Extra Value is made just for you.
Introducing new Always Cotton Soft. Its unique top sheet is as soft as cotton and gentle to your skin, offering you comfortable protection as you go about your day. New Always Cotton Soft, available in long and extra long for 250 naira only.
Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria congratulates with delight Malam Abba Kyari on his reappointment as Chief of Staff to the President, Muhammadu Buhari.
Sir, your appointment to the office confirms trust in you, your capacity, and wits of an achiever whose years of experience has added value to the success and achievements of Muhammadu Buhari's administration.
Rice farmers in Nigeria are optimistic that your reappointment as Chief of Staff will bring about more significant impact in assisting the President achieve his vision of making Nigeria self-sufficient in rice production.
President Buhari's victory is a victory for food security,
poverty eradication,
wealth,
and job creation.
Congratulations.
And signed, Aminu Goronyo.
This food delivery stuff, not just anybody can do it though.
If you're stuck in traffic, the food don't spoil be that. This place don't take like Lagos, but if you get package like this, you guys take them fast as it hot. I try using map for my former data. Thing will just be loading. That's why I switched over to more Blaze. Boy, my more Blaze does not fail. If you like, believe in inside Koro, my more Blaze will find you. One time like that, as I arrived with the food, the lady was like, but I only just called you. See, as the food is hot, that's how my more Blaze the hot.
It's more than just data. It's more Blaze 4G LTE. Get 2 gig welcome data plus 1 year data bonus on any of these devices. 9 Mobile. Here for you. Here for Nigeria.
Thanks for staying with us. Let's turn to the judiciary now. The Presidential Election Petition Court has resumed hearing on the petition of the People's Democratic Party and its candidate Atiku Abubakar. The court adjourned last Friday as a result of an alleged attack on the witnesses of the petitioners who were coming from Zamfara State, an allegation the Zamfara State Police Command has refuted. Dele Atumbe reports.
At this Monday's hearing, the People's Democratic Party and its candidate Atiku Abubakar called additional 4 witnesses. This brings to 40 the witnesses the petitioners have called out of the 400 they proposed. The first 3 witnesses in their evidence in chief alleged irregularities in an election where they claimed to have voted without any molestation. During cross-examination, the witnesses could not tell the court the purported result their party and other political parties in their claimed lawful votes scored in the February 23 presidential election. One of the witnesses who alleged vote buying and overvoting also admitted during cross-examination that he did not visit all the polling units but relied on the information provided by the polling agents who were alive but not in court to testify in the matter. The petitioners also tendered additional 48 documents as well as asked for the leave of the court to present documentary evidence through their star witness who is the spokesman of Atiku Abubakar. Counsel to the respondents, Alex Exion, SAN, for President Muhammadu Buhari, Niyi Akintola, SAN, for the APC, and Usman Ustaz, SAN, objected to the admissibility of the evidence and the presentation of the electronically generated evidence in the open court. Relying on the Court of Appeal decision in Mimiko v. Oke, counsel to the respondents described the tendering of the documents as an ambush due to the fact that they were not front-loaded in line with paragraph 4 subsection CC of the first schedule of the Evidence Act. Counsel to the petitioners, Chris Uche, SAN, countered this legal line of thought with an averment that the petitioners are at liberty to either front-load or list the document as stated in paragraph 4, subsection 5(1)(c) of the first schedule of the Evidence Act. Also relying on the decision of the Supreme Court in Dixon v. Silva, counsel to the petitioners urged the court to dismiss the objection, pointing out that all the counsel agreed for documents to be tendered and reasons for objections reserved for their final addresses. Its unanimous ruling, the 5-man panel of justices led by Justice Mohamed Gaba said since parties had agreed to raise objections and give reasons for their objections in their final addresses, the court affirmed that the documents to be tendered were within the agreement of the parties in the matter before the court. Due to the relevance of the documents, the court admitted them in evidence. 6 out of the electronically generated documents were played in the open court. These included a statement purportedly credited to INEC chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, expressing the hope that result will be electronically transmitted, and the claimed affirmation of same by the resident electoral commissioner for Akwa Ibom State, Mike Igini. During cross-examination, the attention of the court was pointed to the issue of hope as expressed by INEC chairman, and that Igini was not the spokesman of INEC.
Very happy with the ruling of the court admitting all the 48 video CDs that we applied to tender. We are very happy with this milestone.
While the court adjourned to Tuesday, 16th July 2019 for further hearing, counsel to the respondents declined comments. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
And legal and research assistants in the country are now being exposed to the use of information communication technology, ICT tools, to conduct research and aid judges in taking judicial decisions. Olabode Arewa reports that the capacity training workshop is an initiative of the National Judicial Institute.
You can't get everything in the library, so everything is now global based on ICT. So it has really been of help in conducting research.
How I will achieve this is by giving this program apt attention and practicalizing the teachings.
Chibuzo Chikelu and Modupe Oshundino are legal research officers working with the Judiciary of Delta and Ekiti states. They are participating in this training on automated legal research methods as key to efficient jurisprudence in Nigeria. Before now, the conduct of legal research in the various courts in the country had been largely manual, slow and cumbersome. The acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Tanko Muhammad, who was represented by one of the justices of the Supreme Court, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, however, believes that the cause of justice will be better served when digital tools are employed.
Mobile phones today have become mobile computers, and you can get the latest information at your fingertips. I encourage you to utilize these tools for efficacy in the discharge of your duties.
As research assistants, your actions or inactions speed up dispensation of justice or delay it as the case may be. And for this reason, you must at all times exemplify good character that is becoming of your role and status.
The workshop would address procedures in legal research, judicial precedents, evaluating electronically generated evidence, and emerging threats in cryptocurrency transactions. Chibuzo Chikelu, Modupe Oshundino, and other participants are expected to lead the quest for an ICT-compliant judiciary. In Abuja, Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Now, the need for rapid expansion of road networks across the country to cope with the increasing vehicular density on Nigerian roads is very significant for safety. The Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Boboye Oyeyemi, stated this when he paid a working visit to the Ogun State Sector Command in Abeokuta. Mohammed Adebowale reports.
Present at the visit were regular marshals and special marshals of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Ogun State Command, as well as other stakeholders. The visit also afforded officers of the command the opportunity to have first-hand information on series of programs embarked upon by the leadership of FRSA to make their job easy. In a speech, the Corps Marshal Boboye Oyeyemi canvassed for support and collaboration of all to achieve smooth and safe motoring on Nigerian roads. Boss, while calling on personnel to show high level of commitment and professionalism, and as well shown on ethical standards.
We ask for understanding and attitudinal change of all road users towards effective road traffic management in the country.
Corps Marshal also commissioned a 60 kVA mechanical power generating set donated to the Ogun State Sector Command, courtesy FRSC Special Marshal.
For the confidence of the command here to ease their performances.
In Abeokuta, Mohammed Adebowale, NTA News.
If there is anything a youth craves for, it is being given the opportunity to be able to realize dreams. Today, we follow some prospective candidates on what they hope to achieve if given the local scholarship, which focuses on the oil and gas sector. Abdul Karim Mohammed Zurmi reports.
Call the secure of hope and you would be right. These are people from across the north-central zone of the country shortlisted for the 2019 award for scholarship within Nigeria by the Petroleum Trust Development Fund to enable them pursue choice careers in the oil and gas sector.
Scholarship, I am so sure of achieving greatly. I studied civil engineering, and amongst all the options, I see geotechnical engineering as the best.
When we get the scholarship, we can make a lot of difference because a lot of us are inhibited, we are stopped by funds, and with this scholarship, it will help us to make life more sustainable to have impact positive to the environment, and also to make the kind of change we expect.
I applied for these scholarships last year, and I just interested in the scholarships so that it can be enabled to give me opportunity to address societal problem.
This stage of the scholarship was preceded by a series of other processes.
We also give provision for conferences. This is to encourage our local scholars, to have an international aspect to their research. So once they have a paper that has been published or they wish to present, we allow them to go anywhere in the world.
The PTDF has annually offered opportunities to Nigerians to apply and have funds to further their education within the country, just as it does for others seeking to do so abroad. In Abuja, Abdul Karim Mohammed Zermi, NTA News.
A seasoned diplomat, administrator and retired Federal Permanent Secretary Ambassador Godno Sigali has joined the race for the November 16 Bayelsa governorship election. He was at the National Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party, Abuja, to pick his nomination and expression of interest forms. Timothy Yusuf reports.
The National Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party, Wadata House, has been again alive in the past few days with aspirants trooping in to obtain nominations and expression of interest forms ahead of the November 16 governorship staggered election in Kogi and Bayelsa states. Ambassador Igali is among the 13 aspirants that have so far indicated interest to vie for the governorship seat of Bayelsa State. He was received by the National Organizing Secretary of the party, Austin Akobundu.
And at this stage, we need a leader, somebody with a tested hand, with a background that can be able to take our children into the future, to create jobs for them, for security, to build infrastructure, and not to say these things, but with timelines. Timelines that can be verified. That's what we need.
And for you at this time to throw your hat in the ring means that you have a driving passion in you to serve your people.
The aspirant at an interactive session with the media identified issue of funding infrastructure as one of the nation's biggest problems, which he explained can be overcome through harnessing of the abundant natural resources in Bayelsa State. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
You're watching the news at 9 on the network service. Let's join Michael in Lagos for more news now. Michael?
Joseph, and welcome to Lagos. Participants at the second cycle of the 2019 ASCON regular courses have been challenged to see the enormous knowledge and experiences acquired as tools to impacting positively on the public service. The Director General of the Administrative Staff College of Nigeria, ASCON, Cecilia Gaya, stated this at the closing ceremony of a 2-week course held in Topo Badagry. Today's Psyche reports.
Building human resource capacity has become critical to achieving the growth needs of the public service in any country. It is against this background that human resources development has become an integral part of organizational policies. The Director General of the Administrative Staff College of Nigeria, Mrs. Cecilia Gaya, who was represented by the Head of Department Management Studies, Babatunde Eniaejuni, commended the performance of the 73 course participants, adding that the future of the Nigerian public service is assured.
The service needs officers with analytical skills, capable of responding promptly to macroeconomic and administrative issues, as well as providing practical solutions to those challenges encountered in the different sectors of our national life.
Participants were trained in the areas of advanced financial management, managing social and community services, advanced public enterprises management, and performance improvement. Others are electronic record management and human resource management.
The knowledge acquired here will be impacted on my performance, and I expect, and I'm going to extend it to other people working with me.
It was an eye-opener for us on how we can improve our performance as public sector managers.
It will still assist me a lot in future, so as to handle the job I've been doing for so long.
Participants in the second cycle in the series of the 2019 regular courses were drawn from both the federal and state ministries, departments, and agencies. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
The Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, has warned petroleum products marketers to desist from quoting corners, as such actions will be met with appropriate sanctions. The acting director of the organization, Ahmed Rufai Shakiru, handed down the warning at a media briefing to lift the sanction on Petroleum Trading Limited over its violation of gas plant installation in Lagos. Annie Daniels has details.
The acting director of DPR said in the course of the organization's routine weekly surveillance, a domestic gas facility at Ayobo in Alimosho local government area of the state belonging to Petroleum Trading Limited was sealed up for defaulting laid down directives. However, on a follow-up visit by a team of the DPR, it was found that Petrocam flaunted the instruction and returned to operations.
For the second time again, the company had the audacity to remove our seal. So on the basis of that, the department had no option than to impose some sanctions that affected all its retail outlets nationwide. We stopped supply of product to the company. We are willing to guide and collaborate to make sure we deliver products in a safe manner to the members of the public.
There is no day we go out that we do not seal gas facilities, because the skid itself is becoming a major problem to us.
Following Petroleum Limited appeal to DPR and agreement to immediately proceed with dismantling the illegal facility as requested, as well as a letter of apology to DPR, the sanction has been lifted. In Lagos, Annie Daniels, NTA News.
This is NTA Network News. More reports after this commercial break. Please stay tuned.
The Federal Civil Service Commission wishes to announce vacancies in the Office of the Surveyor General of the Federation. The vacancies are as follows: grade level 17, grade level 16, and grade level 15 respectively. Suitably qualified candidates with character and integrity who are interested in pursuing a career in the Federal Civil Service are invited to apply for any of the posts. The applicants are to complete and submit their applications in hard copies at the Office of the Honorable Chairman or at the Office of the Honorable Commissioner at the Federal Civil Service Commission. Interested candidates are advised to log on to the Commission's official website at www.fedcivilservice.gov.ng for details. Signed, Abel Olumuyiwa Eniton, Permanent Secretary for Honorable Chairman.
Molfix is 2018 most selling diaper in Nigeria and also the global leading premium quality baby diaper in 2018. You should try Molfix. Heartfelt thanks to Nigerian mothers for leading us to the top. 99% of mothers who tried Molfix would recommend it. You should also try Molfix.
Mommy is ready to receive me a bundle of joy. Mommy is making my home cleaner and safer. We are Dettol sure. Daddy is home. He must be germ-free. He needs to be Dettol sure. My clothes are so nice. We are Dettol sure.
Illnesses can happen at home too. That's why Dettol and me together will make my baby's home safe and to protect from up to 100 illness-causing germs. That's why moms want to be Dettol sure.
We are Dettol sure.
The sound of your shutter hails you as your flash falls on everyday people. In this country of party and daily blackouts, your camera they snap memories they go. Even though 30 billion not in your account, still you continue to push and believe. And that girl, now you go marry her. That business now go spoil for your hand. Because at Union Bank, there's a loan for everyone. Apply today. Union Bank, your simpler, smarter bank.
What we are really cultivating here is a better future for all Nigerian women, and it's not always easy. Panadol Extra relieves headache, backache, joint pain, toothache, and menstrual pain. The pain is worth it.
Getting around heartburn and indigestion can be tricky if you eat too much. Eat food that is too spicy or greasy, or lie down after eating. Heartburn and indigestion could always be around the corner. When they come, be prepared with Gaviscon Double Action. It works within 3 minutes and lasts up to 4 hours. Gaviscon Double Action. Many causes, one solution.
I thought leaving the country was the best decision for me and my future.
I left for a better life.
We were picked up by immigration officials and sent to a detention camp.
I spent 8 months in the detention camp.
There was no food, no water.
I saw people being beaten like animals.
Some women were raped. Some women were sold as slaves.
I thought I would never see my loved ones again.
I have made the biggest mistake of my life.
I have wasted all my savings.
I have to start all over again.
Migration is a human phenomenon which cannot be stopped. But if we choose to migrate, we advocate that it should be done in a safe, orderly, regular, and dignified way, and not in a dangerous and tortuous manner.
This message is brought to you by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons.
Thanks for staying with us. The Presidency has noted public concerns on the unfortunate attack leading to the death of daughter of the Afenifere leader, Chief Reuben Fashoranti. A statement by Garba Shehu, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, says the President Buhari has already issued a statement expressing his heartfelt condolences to the family of Mrs. Funke Olakunri and followed up with a telephone call. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, has in addition paid a visit to the grieving family in Akure, Ondo State. Leaders across the country are therefore urged to consider their language and its potential consequences, as insecurity is an issue that Nigeria must face together as one nation. United times of tragedy like these are not the time for politics, but time to end the departed and their family. The Presidency has reacted to the release of a new book, Beneath the Tamarind Tree, written about the kidnapping of 270 Chibok schoolgirls by Aisha Sise, the ex-CNN star and now a child rights activist. A statement by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, reiterates the government's unwavering determination to secure the release by peace or by force the remaining 110 Chibok girls, Ms. Leah Sharibu, and all other citizens held captive by terrorists. The Presidency says the clarification is imperative in view of the doubts that may possibly arise from the book, which should ordinarily serve the useful purpose of spotlighting the crimes against humanity by Boko Haram terrorists. In addition, the book should rightfully stir up interest and rally international support for the young girls on the continent who must stay in school and avoid early pregnancy and marriage in order to actualize their God-given potential. In her introduction of the book, Aisha claims that she wants to, quote, humanize the girls instead of them being seen as mere headlines, end of quote. She acknowledged the release from Chibok Boko Haram captivity of more than 50% of the girls under the Buhari administration, but says very rightfully that, quote, we must not forget the 112 who are still missing, end of quote. On this, the government shares a common position. However, the government disagrees with the author, who asserts that the Buhari administration does not know who to negotiate with because Boko Haram had split into factions. This is a misrepresentation of the position of the government on split in the leadership of the terrorist group into two contending factions. Let's join Chineye Nwoye in Enugu now for more reports.
Thank you, Joseph. Good evening and welcome to Enugu. The Petroleum Technology Development Fund, PTDF Local Scholarship Scheme interview for the Southeast Zone is ongoing at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. About 203 master's degree and doctorate degree candidates are attending the selection interview at the Geology Department of the university. Chegonu Aro completes the report.
The scholarship scheme is part of Petroleum Technology Development Fund's human capital-based objective to provide skilled manpower to meet the demands of the oil and gas industry. And offers two scholarships, basically, local and overseas. The local scholarship scheme has three main categories: engineering, environmental sciences, and geology/computing.
University benefited from one of our other programs, which is the University's Upgrade Program, where we select oil and gas-based departments. We upgrade one of the departments by giving them a new building with various facilities, laboratories, ICT, equipment.
We're actually looking at a few things like statement of purpose. We believe for any candidate that is looking out for this kind of award should be expected to know what he or she is about to do.
The selection interview process is a very nice one, and I'm looking forward to actually getting a full scholarship. My own work will be focusing on photo degradation.
The master's degree scholarship is 1 year, while the doctorate degree scholarship is 4 years. The 5-day selection interview lasts till Friday, 19th July. In Enugu, Chiegono Aro, NTA News.
Chairman, Presidential Committee on Justice Reform and Decongestion of Prisons, Justice Ishaq Bello, has commended Enugu State Government for the adoption of Criminal Justice Act as a means of facilitating quick dispensation of justice in the state. He gave the commendation when he led the committee on a working visit to Enugu State. Susan Eze reports that the delegation was received on arrival by Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi.
Having so far visited over 32 prisons across the country since the inauguration of the Committee on Judicial Reforms and Prison Decongestion by the Presidency in 2017, Justice Bello narrated some of the pitiable cases they have encountered in various prisons, which he said adds credence to the fact that Nigeria's judicial system needs to be reformed as much as the prisons need decongestion. Glad that Enugu State has adopted the Criminal Justice Act to quicken justice delivery, the committee chairman said federal government's intention is to have a uniform criminal justice formula across the country.
The sole mandate of visiting the Nigerian prisons to release inmates who have optional fines associated with their various sentencing.
Lauding the contributions of the committee chairman to the Nigerian judicial system, Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi assured the team that the state is in full support of its mission.
If these laws are effectively enforced, the issues of awaiting trial will significantly fizzle away from our prisons.
The Presidential Committee on Judicial Reform and Decongestion of Prisons has released about 4,000 awaiting trial inmates in the 32 prisons so far visited in about 14 states. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
And that is it from Enugu. Joseph, it's back to you in Abuja for more on the network news. Good evening.
Many thanks, Chineye. Nigeria will need to update her obsolete business laws to clearly define the legal framework that will earn investors' confidence again. This was the view when experts critically discussed financing options for infrastructure development on Good Morning Nigeria. They applauded the present administration's visible ongoing infrastructure development, where the bulk of borrowing is being developed. Lydia Sampson reports.
Infrastructure is at the heart of every thriving economy, and Nigeria, experts say, has a yearning gap in infrastructure development. Over the years, Nigeria has had to journey into debt markets to raise funds for bridging the gap, but at between 70 to 75% deficit of national stock.
Can also not afford to raise taxes at this point in time. Okay, so what would seem feasible for now is going to borrow. But of course, the question for me is whether what we have done so far, have been optimal.
I am not perturbed with the level of our borrowings now, because our reality is either of two. Either we remain where we are, and we continue to live piecemeal, as it were, or we take a revolutionary action, be more committed, transparent, borrow money, and deploy it as appropriate.
This readily brings to mind the need to take revolutionary action that include pegging time frames for development and payment of external loans.
There's another model that the government can also utilize called the regulated asset-based model. That model also can be utilized by the government because it ensures and also guarantees the investor the rate of return on their investment, and again is also backed by the legislation.
And then we must be able to show that we are transparent, no corruption.
The guys also suggested exploring the build, operate and transfer model as well as public-private partnership, which they agree, if properly harnessed, will significantly slash Nigeria's infrastructure deficit. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
You're watching the Network News live from Abuja. Join us again for the last lap of the news in just a moment.
The African Continental Free Trade, recently signed by President Muhammadu Buhari, is a thrust this week on NTA Tuesday Live. What are the potentials in the Continental Free Trade? Find out on NTA Tuesday Live at 10:30 p.m. The program promises to be informative, educative, and incisive. Don't miss it.
They are there at the crack of dawn. They are there busy preparing while we rise for our day. They are there silently, guarding, waiting, listening, and watching. They are there ready in the sky above and the waters below, in the blistering heat of the day, in the dead of night, willing, indefatigable, determined in the defense of the sovereignty of our country. They are our first line of defense and our last. They who have paid the ultimate price in defending us. They are fathers and uncles. They are mothers and sisters and girlfriends and boyfriends. They are brothers and cousins and best friends and neighbors. They are classmates, colleagues, and citizens of this nation. They are our defenders and deserve our respect, our prayers, our thoughts. Nigeria, please support our armed forces.
The Nigerian national flag is a sacred national symbol. It is a mark of patriotism and a show of love for our nation to fly the national flag correctly, in the right colors, right dimension, and in the right sizes for each occasion. In recent times, it has been noticed that government offices, corporate organizations, banks, embassies, and other notable institutions fly faded, shredded, and haggard-looking versions of the national flag. This is wrong and must stop. It has also been noticed that some citizens prefer to popularize the national flag of other nations. Fellow countrymen and women, let us be patriotic. Come, let us show love for our motherland. Fly the correct versions of our national flag in all relevant places. Be patriotic. Be proud ambassadors of our great country.
This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
A delegation from the Senate, led by Senator Abubakar Kyari, has commiserated with the government and people of Bauchi State over the death of Senators Yakubu Lame and Babayo Gamawa, Mohammed Ibn Muhammad reports.
Senator Yakubu Lami, a senator in the Third Republic, and Senator Babir Gamawa, a senator in the 7th Senate, all from Bauchi State, passed on this year. As colleagues of the deceased, members of the 9th Senate, under the leadership of Senator Ahmed Lawal, sent a delegation from the Red Chamber on a condolence visit to Bauchi State.
The Senate also reports that the two men served honorably and will be remembered for their good deeds, exemplary leadership, and their desires for good governance.
It's a very solemn occasion, and of course the Senate has always shown in its tradition that it has never abandoned or forgotten its own. And this is what distinguishes the Senate from other institutions in Nigeria.
The delegation also visited the palace of the Emir of Bauchi and the families of the deceased. In Bauchi, Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad, NTA News.
The death has been announced of Chief Joseph Adolo Okochie Ebo. Chief Adolo Okochie Ebo, son of the First Republic Minister of Finance, Festus Okochie Ebo, died after a protracted illness on July the 6th, 2019. Late Adolo Okochie Ebo, during his life, played a vital role in building the democratic structure of Nigeria, helping the youths, and also contributed to the development